Welcome to r/entitled people, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them and they should get what you want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel and for so many likes. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story: I gave my boss an ultimatum or he raises my team's salary or we all quit. The second story: parents rent a trumpet for their kid. Dad refuses to pay extra for insurance. Trumpet gets damaged days later, and Dad didn't want to be liable for the repair. The third story: put my boss in his place and quit on the spot. The first story is: I applied for another job to threaten my current employer, but not for raises for me. So I'm a 28 male infrastructure engineer that runs a crew of 6 in a small office in my city. We do everything from mapping, finding, implementation, etc. of underground infrastructure. I've been at my firm for the last year and a couple months. I was hired on at a lower position than my experience level. Previous manager hired his best friend who was underqualified for the position, so I got stuck where I was. Well, I recently got that promotion after a months-long fight. I was already doing the work of the position I wanted to move into, but for less pay. Eventually, I told my boss that I didn't feel appreciated after a complete SH show of a project, where he didn't listen to my advice on how to run the project. That's right, I called a bunch of stuff that was coming down the pipeline from my previous experience with a similar project. So when the SH finally hit the fan, I blew up on him. I called him out on not listening to me, that this was preventable, and how I either need to be promoted and trusted for the role I play in this office, or I need to find a company that will trust my expertise. Fast forward to about 6 weeks ago. Our regional manager came down to our office to talk to all my Technician 1 guys. Our RM, God bless his stupid self, thought he might be able to smooth over some grumbling about wage issues. Here's a list of the stupid SH he said that led up to the next part. 1. He informed 2 of us we had gotten screwed out of a $1,500 Christmas bonus. They forgot to submit for us. 2. He told them that they should be grateful to be getting a mandatory 50 hours a week, which I told him is not a flex. Being the market is so dry of workers, we can get that anywhere for a few bucks more an hour extra. This peeved him off. 3. He informed us that any new employees that have zero knowledge in our field of work will immediately come in at $2 more an hour extra. 4. He informed my guys they in fact will not be getting $2 more an hour to meet that entry wage, even though I've trained and gotten these guys certified for every cert they need in this field of work personally. 5. He told them they should be grateful that we have an employee stock option program, but the cost of the stock is so far outside of their means they'd never be able to afford it on their wages. So obviously, after asking some hard questions of Mr. Richard Little, wink wink, I didn't like our interaction. So I applied at the utility company that is our main contract. I got the job doing exactly what I was doing at this firm as a third-party contractor for them. When I told my boss I was going to leave, there was no movement on trying to keep me to stay. I asked him if he's even going to ask where I'm going. With some hesitancy, he asked where I'm going. I told him I'm going to the company you do the most work for, your primary contract, to do exactly what I'm doing here. They're unhappy with how much money they're paying our firm, and they know they can get the same quality of work from me because I've pivoted all your projects for these guys in this city. I also told him I negotiated bringing my entire crew with me to do the work. But I have not told the guys they had options to come with me at this time. So he asked what I would need to stay. I told him I don't need anything except a happy crew. My guys all have kids. They all have families to feed. They have aspirations outside of work. They want to be able to afford to take a day off and still pay their mortgages, to be able to go to their kids' dance recitals, to be there for their newborn's birth and to take time off to spend with them and bond, and make sure there's food in the cupboards. I said if you want me to stay, all my guys will get a $2.50 raise, plus 4% on top of the current market inflation rate, which I think we calculated at 7% this year, within 6 months on top of their yearly review. I don't remember the exact percentage from the review they get, but they're all top-tier techs. I turned down the job with our primary contract. They were saddened, but I explained the situation to the RM over there who's a good friend of mine. I told her my guys aren't being treated right, and if I leave, who's going to stand up for them and show them the love, compassion, and understanding they deserve? They got everything I asked for and then some. Although I'm their boss, these men are like brothers to me. When my wife's sister passed away, they brought us flowers and helped us cover funeral costs, and this was even before they could afford a day off. When I had my surgery and couldn't work, they brought my family food and took my kids for the weekend so I could rest up and start healing. I have no blood family left. They're all we got. And shockingly enough, since that move, my manager has fallen more in line with us as people than as our manager. I love the fact he's using terminology I use, such as I ask for forgiveness, not permission, And when corporate gets on there counting peanuts garbage, he's now using my second favorite. It sounds like a them problem, not an us problem. He almost seems inspired by my actions in a weird way. I can understand the feeling of being unappreciated at work. However, the idea of applying for another job to threaten the current employer is a bit extreme. I mean, what kind of HR strategy is that? Imagine going to your boss and saying, "Hey, I applied for a job at your biggest client, and they offered me the same position. If you don't give me and my team a raise, I'm out." It's like saying, "Give me what I want or I'll take it from you." But this guy didn't ask for a raise for himself. He demanded better treatment and pay for his entire crew. It's like he's the Robin Hood of the infrastructure engineering world. He fought for his team's well-being and didn't even ask for a single penny for himself. Now that's a boss. But I couldn't help but think, what if his boss said no? Would he have gone to the next client and the next and the next? The guy's a walking employment threat. I wouldn't want to mess with him. The second story is, I rock-bottomed an entitled dad at work after he slapped my manager. I work at a music store. My store sells instruments, obviously. Rents out instruments, repairs instruments, and provides private lessons. I get some crazy customers every now and then, but this is one where I got physical. This mom, dad, and their child, who looks to be about 10-ish years old, walk in and I could immediately tell the kid is attention deficit. Super hyper, asking questions to his parents randomly, running to the pianos and pounding on the keys, and just wouldn't stop his hyperactivity. Anyway, they come and want to rent out a trumpet because kid wants to be in band and orchestra. Dad just had a frown on his face the whole time while mom was being very civil, and at the same time trying to calm the kid down, while dad just had the "I don't really want to be here" look on his face. I tell the parents that renting a trumpet is $26 a month before tax. $20 goes into equity that can be used to purchase an instrument in the future, and the other $6 is for our liability damage waiver, LDW, in case it gets damaged, lost, stolen, etc. That extra $6 a month would get him something else if the worst happened. The mom agrees to everything, but the dad scoffed and rolled his eyes and asked if the LDW is optional. I tell him yes, but it's very highly recommended, because if something happens to the trumpet, they'll be liable for the cost if they don't get the LDW. He assures to me that nothing will happen, and that he doesn't need to pay extra for BS. I didn't tell the parents this, but based on what I'm seeing out of the kid's behavior, I had that feeling in my bones that something was going to happen to the trumpet due to the kid's hyperactivity. It takes roughly 5 minutes to do the paperwork for a rental. About halfway through, Dad says to Mom, "This is taking for effing ever. I'm gonna walk to Home Depot and get my tools." There's a Home Depot right across from the parking lot. Mom says that the gentleman, me, is almost done, and tells him to be patient. He just tells her to grab the kid and meet him there when it's done. He then left. Mom apologized for his behavior and finished the rental with that guilty look on her face. After Mom and Hyper Kid left, I joked with my coworker and told him, just wait and watch them come back in the near future with a damaged trumpet without the LDW. He agreed but laughed it off, just like I did, and I thought that was the end of everything. My joke turned out to be a foreshadow. 3 days later, I'm working with my manager and the dad comes in by himself with the trumpet out of its case. His pupils were also dilated, so I had to guess he was high on something. The trumpet's lead pipe was bent at a D near 45-degree angle, and there was a nasty dent in the bell. When I asked him what happened, the guy straight up said, "You a-holes rented us out a bad trumpet that cannot withstand damage. I work in construction, and I know that metal doesn't bend after it's dropped." That was BS because from my personal experience, brass instruments do bend and dent if they're dropped, and especially since this is a low-brand instrument, which we normally do rent out to beginner players, it is way more sensitive. He was demanding that he gets another trumpet with better quality. My manager asked him if he signed up for the LDW. Dad said F no, I didn't want to pay for anything but a rental fee. My manager then told him that we couldn't get him another trumpet without the LDW, so he's liable for the cost of repair. Dad wasn't having any of it, but my manager did tell him that's our company policy. On to the climax. He then grabbed my manager by a wrist and started making claims about how the customer is supposed to be treated right. I went into rage because you don't put your hands on a woman like that. I told him to get the F out right now. That's when he reached his hand back and smacked her in the face like a pimp. Fearing for my manager's safety, I quickly grabbed him by the bottom of his chin and slammed him onto the floor. I screamed in his face while holding him down firm, "You chose not to get the LDW. The trumpet is clearly damaged and you're liable for it for not wanting to pay an extra $6. Now get out, now, and take your broken trumpet with you." I was afraid that he would start fighting me back, but he thankfully did not. I released him and he walked out all huffed up and didn't take the trumpet with him, all while flipping us off on his way out. After his high enraged day left, I looked at my manager, whose face was already beginning to bruise, and asked if she was okay. She was, and she thanked me for standing up for her, but she also told me that this was something that she had to get corporate's attention. Long story short, after the rock bottom and corporate being notified, I didn't get fired for assaulting a customer because 1, Dad started everything, and 2, who the F knows what could have happened if I didn't stop the a-hole from doing more harm. The next day, which was my day off, my manager called me and said the mom called the store and apologized for what happened. From what I was told, she was already in the process of filing for divorce due to his drug addiction and abuse. She also came to the store later and paid for a dirt cheap trumpet to purchase. Since the rental was on the dad's credit card and he chose to leave the broken one behind, his next month payment would be the cost of the repair. What an a-hole. How dare he? I hate people with rights like that. I think your manager should have filed a police report on him to put that idiot in jail. I feel terrible for his family, but I'm glad his wife is divorcing him. Maybe the divorce will teach him something. In fact, such people should be removed from civilized society. But OP, good for you. Such a quick reaction and courage. And I resent the fact that what the hell did he expect from the tool? Is the pipe supposed to be made of titanium or what? Any metal can be bent if you put some effort, let alone metal for musical instruments. What a D-builder. And the last story is, it's my laptop. Hi guys. I used to work at this small company when I was in college. The we're all a family here kind of company. The first red flag was when they told me that I need to bring my personal laptop to work because they're not able to provide me one. I found it weird, but I was in college and I needed money, so I went along with it. After 1 month, I started to notice more red flags. My boss started to tell me that I'm taking too many breaks. I had one 30-minute lunch break and 3 10-minute smoking breaks. When I told him that it's my right to take breaks, he told me that I'm not invested in this company and that I'm an effing slob. This is the moment when I told him I quit. After I quit my job, he said, okay, no problem. Just send me the files that you have on your laptop. 10 finished projects and 5 ongoing ones. And get the F out of the company's property. When he said this, I swear that I wanted to punch him. But I calmed down and instead I told him that I'm not going to send him any files because they're on my own personal laptop and I can do whatever the F I wanted with them. And that was the last time when I saw that D-bag. So basically they had to redo all the work that I did in the 6 months that I worked there. Oh man, this story is a roller coaster of emotions. First they ask you to bring your own laptop to work like it's some kind of potluck party. Then your boss tells you you're taking too many breaks like he's your personal timekeeper. And then when you finally quit, he wants you to send him all the files from your personal laptop like it's his property. What a power trip. But the best part is when you tell him off and refuse to give him the files. That's what you call a power move. And now they have to redo all of your work. That's what you call poetic justice. So cheers to you and your laptop for standing up to the man. Subscribe, click the like button if you want to support the channel.